So before you begin, it's nice to have your glazes out, your real fruit or vegetable, your project, a sponge, your brushes, something wide, something medium, something little, out, some water. And just a reminder that the colors that you've been given from Mayco's Stroke and Coat are very bright, like Crayola crayons, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, brown, black, and white. They're very shiny. You can blend them. This is red with various degrees of white. Red with a lot of white makes a light pink. Red by itself is a very saturated, intense color. You can also choose not to glaze your piece at all in certain areas. For example, here in my real grapefruit is a seed. There's this off-white area. And so when I'm glazing this, I made my seed removable for the moment. I'm not going to glaze this because that seed is very close to just the color of our clay mix, Aardvark's B mix. And also this rind here is very close, so I won't be glazing this. I'll just be putting in little tiny touches, details here. Remember to look closely at your fruit or vegetable, because I'll want to make sure I make this a neutral color, a tan with a touch of brown in there. And then I'll also want to blend an area where I mix a pink with this yellowy orange. So for this, I'll be mixing a yellow and orange. For this, I'll be mixing a red and white and then blending it. So look closely at your fruit or vegetable. You don't have to do it all at once, but you do need to start. So this is in your glaze page, and so you can have that open too. So to create this pinky kind of orange, it's not just pink, it's got a little bit of orange in here. I'm going to take some white. I've just put some white on a plate. I'm going to add the red. Remember that the glaze before it's fired looks slightly different than the glaze when it's fired. It's not as intense. Okay. So you have to keep this color in mind when you're glazing. So I'm just going to put some of this red here next to the white. And I'm going to put a little bit of orange here. Bring in some white. How much? You're just going to need to do your best. I'm not expecting this to be exactly, but I need to see that you've tried, right? If you were just to use red straight out of your container for that, that wouldn't be considered color matching very well. Okay. Color matching takes time. This is just a process. So be kind to yourself and just look at it as you're going to do your best. I've taken the seed out And I'm just going to dab it in these areas. If you're having trouble getting it down in those holes, a stiffer brush, this is a nylon brush, and sometimes just a little bit of water helps it get down in there. How many coats? 2 to 3. Stippling helps it get down in the holes. Now, for this grapefruit, you can see that there's a little bit of depth in here where the flesh gets a little bit darker down inside. So I am going to choose to stipple some orange straight into those areas. Let me clean this off. I'm not going to do the whole grapefruit. That would take several hours. I'm just going to be doing certain areas to give you ideas about how I would approach this problem, right? I'm then going to wipe this off with my sponge, clean sponge, because this orange is way too bright to be covering the whole thing, but I do want some of that intensity down in there. Down in those holes. It's kind of an orange yellow. So I'm going to take some yellow, mix it with some orange. How much? Well, to my eye, my grapefruit is mainly somewhere in between. So I'll just start blending it. And I'm going to just go back over this. Once again, I'm not glazing this whole thing. If you see that it's not going into any holes, you can add a touch of water. Water helps it flow into those holes. It can potentially dilute it. So I might have to do 3 coats on this. So I've got 1 coat going on here. Now, looking here at these little areas on the rind, I'm just going to take that color that I mixed and just put with a fine brush, go into these little areas. Those are indentations. So then I'm gonna wipe it off with my clean sponge. That's one coat, okay. What about this pinkish area? Okay, well, I've made a pink. It's pretty similar to the pink in here. I've already made that pink. So I'm going to start to blend that. It's a little bit denser here. It's flowing in here. It's around here. A little bit denser here. I'm going to be blending it back and forth. A little bit of water. It's back and forth. If for any reason you didn't like it, just wipe it all off with a clean sponge. Keep wiping it until it's off, and then just start again, okay? I have to do another coat on all of that too, right? What am I gonna do with the little nub here? Oops. Well, for that little nub, it's a light green. So I'm just gonna take, using a fine brush, I'm just gonna put a little green down here. A little bit of white. It's gonna need 3 coats. That's also where my air hole is. Reminder, you must have an air hole on your project or it will explode in the kiln. What does an air hole mean? You've taken your needle tool, you've not only put it into the clay, but you've gone all the way down into the air pocket. The air has to escape. If you just put it in the clay, not all the way into the air hole, it will explode. There has to be somewhere for the air to escape. You can see on here that there's a little bit of brown on my real fruit. So probably right near the end, I'll dab a little bit of brown in there, or I could do it now and then wipe it off. Maybe that's the easiest. Whenever I show you something, there's always multiple ways to do this. So getting that into the crack. Wiping it off with a clean sponge. I just want a little bit. What other interesting things are going on? Oops. This has a really interesting insect bite here. So I need to decide how I'm going to do that and when I'm going to do it. You know, see what's best for you. Is it best for you to try it now and then wipe it off? And it's various colors. It's brown and it's neutral. So I think I do like the idea of putting it in, wiping it off. It'll stay brown in those darker areas. Just going to refine that a little bit. And then I think I'm just going to let it, I've wiped it off and I'm going to let it stay neutral. And that inside the insect area, I'll go ahead and glaze this. So you can see this is going to take a while to capture some of the details that you have. Just to refresh, I mixed a yellow and a white and red to get a pinkish here. I put some glaze inside this area to match the little bits here. I'm going to leave this area neutral, no glaze. I have a seed that I'm going to allow to stay neutral. I put one coat of a yellow orange on here. I blended in pink on top of it, and this all needs at least one more coat, maybe two. This feels a little thin, so maybe 3.